For a seller who want to list a product, like a brand new product on Amazon, how can they find the correct browse nodes?
That's exactly what is browse node and backend optimization, what it looks like.
Is there any link between the browse nodes and bestseller badge?
If the brand focus on those things, they get much better advantage.
So at what point should a seller think about relaunching the product?
Ecom Squeezed podcast.
Welcome to another episode of Ecom Squeezed. I am your host Sebastian, founder of Retail-Outsource, and today we have a product launch specialist and an Amazon browse node expert, Colin Raja. Colin is an Amazon seller, data analyst, and e-com strategist who have mastered the art of product launches. He has built million-dollar brands and developed a 250-point product launch system that keeps its listing on top. Today we are discussing Amazon browse node strategy to relaunch products, strategy to rank keyword. So Colin, welcome to the show.
Thanks for the great introduction. Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited.
Great. And you always discuss something that a lot of people doesn't discuss on Amazon space, that's browse nodes. So I want to start with what is browse nodes. Maybe a lot of viewers, they don't know what browse node is in the first place.
Sure. If you think about the category, so all we know is like in the front end, what is category actually? For everybody in the front end, they know much better about categories. For Amazon, how they measure category, how they put you in a category, it's based on the browse node you chose in the backend. So it's a browse node has three different variables, which is like a root, branch, and leaf. Your product should always in a leaf node. It never should be in any kind of branch or root node. Nobody has known. Not a lot of people. At this point, I've been talking about this for almost a year right now. Nobody knows about it. How to look for it. How to. What's a problem? Because the maximum of what we do is like before, when something happened in Amazon, like let's say your ranking dropped, or review split happened, or images is not updating, or your attributes are not updating, and all we do is like basically try to fix that problem alone. And let's say that your ranking fall down, is basically what we do is taking the product and run the launch or run the PPC. It's not going to helpful. Why? Because you have a backend problem, which is like a browse node problem specifically. You cannot able to run it at all at any point. You cannot rank back at any point of time. So the browse node, it's a basic fundamental thing that what everybody needs to know, and how you need to be. Sometimes your browse node and the category could be completely different, and you need to make sure that it aligned properly. It mismatch, you're not able to rank. So yeah, man, the browse node is basically have three components. It's an Amazon eyes, but we can able to view it and we can able to change it. We can able to make sure we are in the right browse node, and then according to that right category as well.
And for a seller who want to list a product, like a brand new product on Amazon, how can they find the correct browse nodes?
Okay, so first of all, I use a couple of tools to find out the browse node. One, there is something called Smart Scout. I can put you the link for you guys to check it out. The Smart Scout, you can able to check it out, each and every details of browse node level completely, right? That's the first thing first, right? The second one is like, if you're going in some kind of category, you can go and then type in a Seller Central on the top, put BTG guide. You can able to find out a list of category browse tree guide node. Amazon make it more sophisticated right now. You can just put a keyword, it automatically gives the browse node for you, relevant browse node. But you don't have to satisfy with what they're giving. If you find you have like a more relevant in a browse node, you can go on and check it out, BTG guide, and find out this information. Or you can go to the Smart Scout to take a look at like what are the other relevant browse nodes are available. So you can able to combine that one in your listing properly. So it's now only stop there, right? Browse node, it's one of the elements. The second elements which you need to be focused on, which is like a product type, item type, display on website, and geo. So those are the key component needs to be aligned in your listing to making sure your backend is like perfectly matching. It's just like this, right? I'll give a metaphor like all the time, like it's just like you're putting a road, making your road very like clean so you can drive fast. if your road is not really like fixed properly, it has like a bumps and a whole bunch of holes and everywhere, you're probably not able to drive fast. Why? Because it's gonna get you stuck somewhere. That's exactly what is browse node and backend optimization, what it looks like.
Great, that's a great answer, Colin. And Colin, I have a follow-up question. A product can be ranked on two different subcategories. Right?
Yes.
Is that the case of browse nodes or leaf nodes? If you can explain that, is there any
No.
way that sellers can select the correct browse node to rank organically higher?
I mean, I would see, right? Those are like old hacks, man. Very honestly, you don't need so much things right now. You don't need to be in the multiple categories at this point. There is something called cross nodes. Okay, what is cross node? Is that's where you get double nodes. If you have a cross node, you have a one product in a one cross node, another product in another cross node, browse node. How the cross node works is like you could be in a baby category. The baby category has like let's say ear cleaning for babies, and there is another same category in health category. Again, a baby ear cleaning under the ear cleaning. But both, if you click on that, both are in the same category. Either it will be in a health or in the baby, but it has like a different nodes, different root, different leaf node. So those things can come with like a two browse nodes, but it was done like a 2-3 years ago. You can get like a double nodes. At this point, Amazon is refining very well. They want to put you in like a particular browse node, but the system still has a old technology, hold the data points, right? So it can still put you in like a browse nodes and all the things. I think there is a way you can go and then request in the the SaaS program for a multiple browse nodes at this point. But at this point, we don't find any other way to get like a force yourself to get like a two browse nodes, and I don't think it's super necessary.
Great, and I assume we can change the browse nodes as well, right, for a product later on at some stage. Is there any risk involved changing the browse node?
I will not recommend anybody this. If your product is selling really good and you seeing ranking is pretty good, you don't want to change your browse node, and you just want to make sure you stay in that browse node until Amazon say no. Even Amazon says no, you can force yourself to go there, the same place. This is where mess happen. Well, because before we had like something called category based keyword. Right now I'm questioning that because the current data was like it's not working as it is, but I will have the answer in a couple of weeks on that one. So the category based keyword, how that works is basically when you're in a one category, you can rank only for certain keywords. You cannot be in a baby category and trying to rank for iPhone, right? That's not going to happen, right? So when it comes to a browse node, you don't have to get the double nodes or anything. You basically needs to making sure that force yourself to go into the right browse node. How you can determine this, go on and check what is your best competitor and your worst competitor, or what are the categories they are in. Put yourself in a best place, or see who is like upcoming person in the ranking game. If you rank for most of the keywords you are focusing on, and if you go and then like put yourself there on the browse node, that's the best way to find out what browse node you should be in. Yeah. Did I answer your question? I'm sorry.
Yes, you did. And we have this bestseller batch, right, on the PDP, not on the PDP, on the search results. On that, is there any link between the browse nodes and
of course
seller badge?
Yeah, but see, again, if you're launching new product, it's very hard for you to right now to get the bestseller badge. Even if there are certain category, it doesn't have a bestseller badge at all, but still have advantage that you can, if you're gonna be on the top, it's gonna be a better on that one. Of course, bestseller badge gives like a 20% hike, I guess, 20-25% hike on your sales. But there is no lot of room for you to get that one. But you can have like an Amazon choice, a new pick. Those are like a new things what Amazon has at this point. The bestseller, how you can able to put yourself in a bestseller node, which is like what I told you, the cross node. We have seen a cross node, which is like baby category and also the other category, the health category. You can find out, I would, if I'm differentiating between health and baby, I would go on a baby because health has like a higher search sales volume. You're probably not going to get the new Amazon release batch or any other new things because you're competing with like a bigger sellers there, a high volume and a high tracking. Why? Because health and household, it's also subscription based. People are getting monthly subscription almost like every month. So you end up in like competing with somebody who's been there long and also build like so much subscription, so they have the momentum already going on. But on the baby category, if you go in there, there's not a lot of subscribe and save. It's not a supplements there, right? But if you go there, you will have like a best chance of like getting at least a new release. I'm not sure if you can get the bestseller. It depends on the search volume or sales volume, what you're going to get actually at that point.
And let's assume that if a product is listed on having the wrong browse node, okay, and we are running a PPC campaign really hard, and I assume it will affect the conversion rate big time, right? If you're on the wrong browse node, even though if you are.
Yeah, one, you're probably not going to get better relevancy. If you're in a wrong browse node, you're probably not going to get like not bigger relevancy. And the second thing, what will happen is like, I have seen this multiple places at that point in our analysis. We have seen a very poor CPC cost. You get better than your competitor. You're probably going to pay more. See, if you're not building a higher relevancy, if you're not contextual with like a semantic keyword mapping, you're probably going to run a poor PPC. That's why I hate when the agency focusing on just the ROS and the ACoS, because it's not only that. You need to focus on all other components, which is like what I'm talking about is like your backend optimization is very key for your PPC performance. I don't know how many people are doing that properly. We have done for a couple of listings. We have changed pretty well in terms of like one of the brand we recently scaled. It went from $50,000 to $450,000 a month, which is like 654% growth. What we got, it's a purely content, purely backend optimization, purely front-end optimization. That's what we did, and we did a launch completely. Grouping the keyword and did that one. If you don't have the proper browse node, you probably not see, okay, most of the time, how they optimize the listing, how they optimize the PPC is basically through search term report, right? But what about the keywords? It's not getting any kind of impression. What happened to those keywords? What happened to those keywords, which is like not even getting clicks, not even getting impression, but those are like a high search volume, high relevant keywords. What happened to those keywords? Most of the time, people don't focus on that. Those keywords are not coming up because of your backend issue, or you're not specifically focused on this. So everybody is like, so they take a search term report and go and then like find a ACoS or ROS. Based on that, they optimize the listing completely. But that's not stops there. There's so many things behind that. It's if the brand focus on those things, they get much better advantage. If they don't focus on it, that's where you're leaving the piece to your competitor.
Right. And let's assume that is there any specific frequency that you use to check if the browse nodes are correct, and if Amazon doesn't change it, and do you use any software, so do you do it manually for that?
At this point, we're doing it manually. We are working on building a software, but we build it like an internal use only. So we have like a 350 checkpoint, just like a car checkpoint, right? So we do it when we have a client. So when you have working with a brand, we do it for everyday basis for a whole month completely, the whole 300 checkpoints to collect the data. And after that, we do it like a weekly thrice. That's what we do. But I strongly recommend any brand, you need to have sorry man, hold on a second. So any brand, I would recommend, sorry about that. So any brand you need to be strongly focused on getting the best data of your best sales data actually. So let's say one day you have the best sales you got, you need to collect all the data completely straight. So when you have the worst day data, you probably could compare what happened in the back end, what happened in the front end, what changes we did to get here. So if you find out your recovery time is super fast. For us right now, our recovery to identifying any problems, we take only 3 to 4 hours to identify the problems because we have the data. To fix it, it takes only maybe 24 to 72 hours. It depends on how Amazon, if we have to deal with Amazon, it takes more than 72 hours. If I have to do it on our own, we done it in a single day. That's the biggest advantage. But let's say you don't have the data. Assume that you don't have the data. What could happen right now? So for example, let's say that something happened to your listing, something changed in the back end, or something happened. You don't know what you had before, and you completely no idea what changed. So you basically going nowhere to find out what's happening in your listing. So it's gonna take minimum 24 hours to find out, go on multiple calls, find out what happened to your listing, what changes it is, revert back to the previous change, whatever you have done in the past. It's gonna take so much time. If you don't communicate with the Amazon Seller Central straight, completely talk about okay, this is the problem, can you fix it, right? Otherwise, they will be oh, we're checking it out, and they're gonna take so much time. They're gonna put you in a call multiple hours to make sure that you're holding on it, and then they will say, okay, we'll get back to you on this one. So they will take so much time, and your recovery time is probably gonna take a week or 2-3 days of time. Meanwhile, your momentum is gone, your revenue is gone, your profit is gone, and to build it back again, it's going to take another 1 week of time to build it back again. Some product, it takes super easy to come back. Those are amazing. If you have a fantastic product, if you have a fantastic thing, it's good. But I'm talking about the situations that sometimes people don't even able to come back out of this disaster, what it created. So why would you need to put yourself in a place when there is a way, when there is an option to measure, when there is an option to making sure that you can be protected with a small number of data, what you can able to track. That's the most important thing I would say. I would do it at least weekly, thrice. I'll tell you why actually. Because the problem is Amazon bots right now. Amazon cannot touch your listing. Amazon technically cannot touch your listing. That's against the compliance policy. But somebody touch your listing in the foreign ASIN, or somebody who's selling your ASIN as a third party, and they can create a set of data that could ride over on your ASIN completely. So I would check at least weekly, thrice. At least I would do, if your product out of stock, if you know that your product is going to be out of stock, or if your product got suspension, and if you're launching the product, new launch product, and you better do it because Amazon change it all the time right now.
And you mentioned about you have 350 points check, right?
Yeah.
So is that per ASIN?
Yes, it's per ASIN.
And how long it will take to do that check?
Right now, it's almost taking an hour to build the list.
Okay.
So it's basically a front-end data, and the front-end data, complete front-end data. You have the whole copy of the front-end data from the top title to bottom reviews, whatever you're seeing right now completely. And then the back-end data, which is your PPC, and also your, what is other, a business report, inventory availability, and I'm talking about the attribute. That's the crazy part. You cannot, there is a backend, the backend flat files doesn't have that whole data. So you're probably not able to find out that's where we built a tool. We found some kind of level of loophole in the Amazon. So we found a way to extract all the attributes completely. So we have close to 250 check points on the attributes. We have seen so much numerous of time when some new data was updated in the attributes. See, the default thing, what are the things is going to change is your size, read, and then in the Amazon, sometimes it's recommended few things, recommendations. Those are things that's going to change very often. Certain times your attribute change, sometimes your refinements could change. Those things impacts your top level in terms of product type and item type, and all the things could impact. That's where the disaster happens. So now we can able to find out what attributes are more aligned with what. That's where we collect the 1 month data. So we align with okay, this attributes, it's aligned with your product type. If this is changed, and this will change automatically. So we know if the attribute change anywhere, and we know that if that's going to affect or not. before it get affected, we change this one at that point. So it's very clean at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned about attributes. This is something on my mind. Should sellers fill in all the attributes that's on the back end of the listing, or should they put it like empty if it's not applicable, or should they put NA not applicable?
Okay, so if the attributes are not showing up on the front end, I would put a NA, whatever it's not required. If the attributes are showing up in front end and which you don't need to be filled up, which is not applicable to you, I would leave it blank, but I'll keep eye on those attributes completely, because as I mentioned before, the foreign ASINs could affect your listing. This is where the pesticides issues, like foreign ASIN, somebody who puts some kind of attribute keyword which is not, for example, let's say you're taking a parasite tablet, right, cleaning a parasite, so you can put any kind of offensive word or something related to there are certain keywords there which triggers this pesticides problem warning actually. So if you have certain keywords, it automatically reflects there completely. So I would say, like, leave it blank, but keep eye on those things. If anything happened there, I would say, okay, raise the case immediately, and then make sure that you take care of that. You make sure that you fix that problem right away. Otherwise, it's going to hit you back for sure.
Great. And I want to move into the product relaunch strategies now. So let's assume that we launched a product. Okay, I have a target of X amount of sales every day, but actually it's not making any sales. So at what point should a seller think about relaunching the product?
Okay, yeah. So if, let's say, you're not acquired at least 20% of what is your competitor acquired, and you didn't acquire that one in the first 3 months of the launch or whatever it is, then you have a potential to grow. Let's say your competitor was ranked on top 45, 99% on 20% on the 20 to 30% on the top 5 positions keyword. So let's say you are in like a 0.5% or 10% or 2% or 3%. There is a potential to grow. So when it comes to relaunch, the funny thing is like you need to break it down into small pieces, don't keep it generic, right? So what do you need to do is, like, basically, first thing first, break it down your front end. Why somebody is buying your competitor? Why somebody was like trying to use your? Why somebody is like able to get much better click-through rate on? Why somebody was like buying from them? Why they getting a much better click-through rate? The second one is why somebody was like in the back end. Why somebody was like able to rank much better? How much percentage rank? What is the gap between you and your competitor? So break it down into small pieces. You can use product opinion or any other tool you want. We use product opinion tool. The backend, if you want to find out, you go through Celebro. You can find out, or Data it's the best one. I would say you just put it up, find out what percentage of growth you have, right? Once you have this information, you have a clear path. Okay, here's what I need to do. The front end, people don't like my images because of so and so reason. So let me fix my front end first, okay? So once you increase, one product we did recently, like 2 weeks ago, last week we literally changed the back end and literally changed the front end. It changed the whole thing. It's ranked from 0.5% to 15% on the top, and the sales increased pretty well. Why? Because the CTR increased and CVR increased much better for them. So just by doing that itself, you're gonna gain a lot of stuff on your listing completely. So break it down every single small things. So first, front end, break it down why somebody is like you, why somebody don't like you, why somebody like your competitor, why somebody don't like your competitor. So you got all the information in the front end. So put up a comprehensive report, go through AI, ChatGPT, and find out like, okay, how can I able to create a better listing? If you don't have if you need the prompt, I can send it to you guys. Pick me, I can send it to you. The second one is like basically the backend. You already know what keyword they rank, what keyword you haven't ranked, how relevant those keywords are. Using one of the tools you can use, get that data. In the middleware, what you're going to find out is like attributes and refinements. Go and then find out what are the attributes they filled up, what are the refinements they filled up, how they optimize the front end, how they optimize the back end, what are the browser, what are the back end search terms they put it up. So you can just copy exactly what it is. Like, of course, you're not copying word to word. You copy the strategy, literally put together the listing completely. Then you have a solid plan of relaunch at that.
Right. And you mentioned about product opinion and Helium. So we can use Helium Market Tracker, right, for that?
No,
And
you can use Celebro for that.
Okay.
Product opinion, I recommend two things. They have like something called search simulation, and they have like an image top pick. So you can do these two things. It's gonna help you. It's super simple and not a lot of people using it. And that's where you can differentiate from your competitor. And one more thing I would say is, like, on top of it, Amazon implement the EQR model, engage based query. I forgot the terminology. So EQR model, which is basically what it does is, right, your content makes a lot of difference. So what are we approaching right now? If my competitor asks like a very too generic listing, like they serving for everybody, then we can go and then able to knock that out actually, because we create a niche. Why? Because there are professional buyers, there are value buyers, there are gift shoppers, there are like and then like a value buyers and price buyers. Same, there are like different categories there. So each and every category, the image position is changed. For example, if it comes to a professional buyer, they don't care, they are price sensitive. They want the latest one, what they want. They want is basically like whatever the latest one what they have, and also they want more details on the products in terms of like they want technical details. They want like so much on like how much, what is the consumption or what is that efficiency on that product actually, right? Even if they're buying a pen, they also like talks about like how much this is gonna last, how stylish it's gonna look, that's a professional buyers. They don't care about sensitive. But when it comes to value buyers, if the product is related to value buyers, they want the maximum buck out of each and every buy what they have. So then you can talk about counts, then you talk about like values better than your competitors. So you need to differentiate your listing, who you're serving for. That's the best hack what we found recently. It changed the whole launch game.
Right. And in the Amazon space, in the honeymoon period, right? It's been discussed a lot. In your opinion, is it real? It's a real thing, or it's just something made up?
Okay, so honeymoon period, I have seen the technical documents of the honeymoon period. Basically, what is honeymoon period is basically the app. When it comes to a new listing, they don't determine your listing. They cannot able to determine where you should place you. There's no way the formula, the A9 would able to understand like where to place you actually, right? There is something called, I forgot the terminology. So basically what will happen is like they put up like a default value for your calculation. That's become like to identify where to place you on that point. There's also honeymoon period. It also depends on your account. If you're a new account, you have a better honeymoon, you have a very low honeymoon period. If you have an old well-performed account, you have a better honeymoon period at that point. So there is no terminology called honeymoon period at that point, but there is an advantage if you're new listing compared to an old listing. There is an advantage for the new listing because that's a fresh start of everything. There is no corrupted data. There is no data is pulled from a foreign report. Nothing there. So I would suggest to call it as a new listing and an old listing. And you can, if the old listing, if you refresh the listing in terms of like putting up like a proper backend data and proper proper refinement, proper images, proper everything like really good. It takes 5 days to rank any keyword in the new listing. It takes 7 to 10 days for the old listing. That's the difference. What we're talking about. So, but people stressed out like, oh, I open the listing, it's gonna be gone. No, that doesn't work anymore like that. But that works in the relevancy model before 3-4 years ago, the relevancy model we were at. So at that point, it's the most important thing that you need to have like the date set up. But right now, no. You can do any point of time at that point, yeah.
So when you said relevancy model, is that search, find, buy model?
No, so we have like a different algorithm. So people call right now crazy A9, A10, A11 and all. It's crazy that that does not. I checked the paper and there's nothing exists like A9 and A10, A11 and all the things. It's basically like Amazon come up with a new technology on every time. It's basically like before we have something called before we don't have like a 2015 when you talk about it's a basic keyword matching. So if you have a listing, somebody search someone, you automatically match it and then it automatically show you at the top. The next era is like they put up like something called relevancy model. The relevancy model, how that works is basically multiple times you repeat your keywords in your listing. I mean, that's the number of time that Amazon algorithm take that value and say that, okay, this keyword is like most important keyword for your listing. They're gonna rank your listing on the top actually, right? So the number of time your keyword appears in the listing, the number of times your relevancy will go up based on you're getting a CTR and CVR. Better CTR and better CVR, you're gonna get that one. Right now we are in like a dynamic re-ranking model with the EQR model appears on the top, basically on top of the relevancy model, right? Which is basically like you don't want to do the keyword stuffing at all. They're saying don't do the keyword stuffing. It's basically EQR and dynamic ranking model. It's basically involved in like NLP, like a natural language processing. So if you do the keyword stuffing, it's negatively impact. So that's why if anybody do like a title which is like a crazy repeat like a garlic press, garlic press, gas, then they're gonna be get affected super bad at this point, because it's not that the model doesn't exist. It's just basically the priority became shifted to EQR and dynamic re-ranking model at this point. The algorithm still exists, but the priority of our ranking changed to this at this point, dynamic re-ranking model and EQR model, right? So if you're using the old one, let's say that all of your competitor was following the relevancy model, right? And you are better relevancy model than them. You're still gonna rank better because all of your one competitor come change it according to the EQR or dynamic re-ranking model. Now at that point, he's gonna rank better than everybody else actually at that point. So you need to decide whether you want to stay on top of it or you want to be like using the old model. What do you want to do actually? That's what it is at this point.
And I want to move into the keyword ranking strategies topic
Sure.
now. So let's assume that we are creating a new listing. So we downloaded keywords from Helium 10, from Google, everywhere. So we have a lot of keywords, a raw file, let's say like 2,000 different keywords. How do you sort them? So you can sort them by, for example, highly relevant keyword. So is there any special way that you sort those raw keywords?
Sure. Yeah. The one thing first, what we do is like grouping keywords, right? The grouping based on the relevant word. For example, let's say that you're doing a coffee, right? Let's say that you're doing mushroom coffee, right? So you could take a mushroom coffee, and also the mushroom coffee is for, I don't know what is mushroom coffee is for, let's say the longevity or anti-aging process or whatever, right? So you can able to, there is a different set of keywords, right? The mushroom and coffee and the mushroom supplement and the mushroom blah blah blah, and also anti-aging coffee or mushroom coffee is to use a bathroom, like a poop actually much better in the morning. So it's like a coffee for blah blah blah, like, you know. So you need to group the keywords first, right? That's the keyword based grouping. What are the relevant terms? What are the single terms they use? You can take, or you can come up with, and you can group that one. And also if there is, let's say that you have 200 keywords on one grouping, you break it down again into 3 groups. So first single word grouping, and second one is like a 2-word grouping, and then third one is like a 3-word grouping, and you can just keep going until you get like a 7 words, common words which you can rank for. So you go in a reverse way. Let's say a single word grouping, you don't want to launch like top to bottom, you go from bottom to top. Right now, Amazon, as I said, the dynamic re-ranking model is the most intention for, it's like a higher purchase intent. That's the most important thing. They don't want somebody to come and then browse on the keywords. So they want focus on anybody who come on your listing, they want to purchase that one, the product. So the most towards like a purchase intent. And also this is where I've talked about personalized listing, because they cater for people when you have a purchase intent, so they can show it much better for that audience. Specifically, you focus on one audience, right? That's a one way. The second way is something called the semantic keyword mapping. The semantic keyword mapping, how that works is basically you put all the keywords in Amazon, in ChatGPT or whatever it is. Tell them, ask them to map it through semantic. For example, how do you give an example on this one? For example, let's say that fabric actually, right? And the fabric and the clothes are same, but they are like a semantic map, but they are not word mapped actually. Make sense?
I lost you in there. There was a gap of it went silent. There was a cutoff, so couldn't hear you.
Okay.
So if you, it means that you were trying to give an example, right? Means that's where it cut off. So if you can just...
So yeah, I can give you back. So basically where it comes is like, there are two things there. One, we're doing a word mapping, right? In the hierarchy of the words. The second one is like a semantic keyword mapping, which is basically what it does is, right, if it's a fabric, the clothes are like a more close relevant. Am I audible right now?
Yes.
Okay. So fabric and clothes are like semantically mapped actually, right? So garlic press and then the garlic press and also silicone. I don't want to go to garlic press. So let's go for a cloth and the fabric itself, right? Okay. So those are like a very semantically mapped. So you can map through semantic. So find out what keywords are mapped semantically, so you can able to structure your listing properly semantically on the NLP, using NLP model. That can be done by ChatGPT, super easy. Give the 2000 keywords to your ChatGPT and ask them, hey, take a one word and create a semantic map and come up with like all the semantic words for that each word. So that's how we grouping the keyword, and that makes a lot of difference in our launches actually at that point.
Great. And let's assume, is there any impact on the ranking? For example, if there is a lot of mention on Google searches and if there is tags on LinkedIn or YouTube or anywhere. So is there, there are a lot of activities going on the search side. Will that impact the ranking on Amazon?
Yeah, 100%. External traffic, it's always helpful with respect to ranking, but it's not a big of a deal. If you have it, it's an advantage. If you don't have it, you still can navigate that.
Yeah,
it's not that most important. Yeah.
Great. And let's assume that you were tracking the keyword ranking for each on Helium 10 keyword tracker. Keyword tracker, and you saw a drop in the ranking. So what are the best ways to recover from that drop?
Yeah, all right. It's a most common. That's a great question, actually. The most common thing. See, again, it goes back to the data.
I think it goes back to the checklist that you mentioned at the starting, right? It would be
yes. That's where I start first, right? First of all, see, okay, all right. Let's go in this way, right? You could go on and check it out in SFR. Right, or your search query performance. Those data are super helpful. Let's say that there is a sudden change happen in your conversion on click-through rate. Let's say that you are on like a top 10 in a search query performance. All of a sudden you went to top 20 or below top 10, right, or above top 10. Then that's where this mess will happen. Most of the times you don't have to panic. Usually it could be a tool. It could be Helium 10. I mean, we have seen that. You could just go on and check online, see that if you've seen it, or go on and check in a different zip code, top selling zip code, see that if you can able to see it, that product. So if you still have that problem, just wait for 24 hours or 48 hours. Wait until that point, and then meanwhile, you take a look at your SFR data and search query performance data. What happened before? What is it right now? Those are part of our 360-point check actually. Right. So when you take a look at it, you can it's a crystal clear. It's like you don't have to, it's very clear why your ranking is dropped there, because you could be like lost your click-through rate for some time or your conversion for some time. You might have lost it, but you can get it back. If you find it as soon as possible, you can able to get that back very easy.
And I want to ask you about, localized ranking on Amazon. So how can sellers make sure that their products are ranked, and is there any way to make sure that everything goes right in terms of localized ranking?
What do you mean by that? Which is like a zip code
like a postcode base, for example, or like
No, I'm really. I have one of the friend who is like a very big carer to that one, but. For me, as long as your inventories are in your Amazon in all the locations, most of the location, and where you can have like a 2-day shipping available for those places. And if you check the average ranking in either Data Dive or in a Helium 10, right? you probably will solve the problem. It's super tedious to look for a geo ranking status of your listing, but at the end of the day, our focus is not, the whole point is not about ranking. The whole point is comes to a place like when you already ranked it, then it's all about acquisition of keywords. Where you can find acquisition of keywords, you better be in like a top 10 acquisition when you rank the product, right? So where you can find the acquisition is like by through search query performance. You go and then click on your ASIN, put the ASIN and go and then click on the keyword. You will able to see like a top 10 acquisition right there. That's become our key factor. So we focus on anytime that something happened in our ranking, we go on and check where are we last week, where are we right now. Even if you want to drill down more, we go into brand analytics data and find out where are we yesterday, where are we right now, what is the past three days of performance, what is the last week performance looks like, where we dropped and why we dropped. Basically, like it could be negative content what you have in your listing. Somebody put up like a bad, some reviews exist, like a recent. See, right now a recent review, like let's say you get a negative review, you get 15% drop, like 10 to 15% drop. Just getting a negative review right now. I have no idea why. So the point is going and checking all this data, we can able to implement the strategy of like, okay, how can I able to sustain right here? And how can you increase the positive ranking strategy to making sure that you're doing much better if this is happening. Like you know that if every negative review you get like 15% drop or 10% drop. So you make sure that create a strategy to make sure that you're getting the high review rate all the time. Keep up with the competition at that point.
Great. It's been a pleasure to chat with you, Colin. Means it's a big topic. We can spend hours.
Of course.
But
yeah.
Yeah. So where can the viewers find you?
Yeah, they can find me in Facebook, Colin.Raja, and also YouTube. I'm putting up all the latest content, what we're testing. That's there. You will able to find out like more information there for sure. Yeah.
And do you offer any special like account
Sure.
review or listen review for the viewers?
Yeah, in case if your product is going through any kind of a rank drop or your sales was dropped really like crazy, and you don't know why, you can reach out to me. I can able to find out that answer for you and then create a strategy for you. We can do like give a free audit call. I can give you the calendar link. They can schedule a call with me and then we can go through that one more in detail.
Great. I'll put the LinkedIn, the website, and the Calendly link as well in the show notes.
Awesome.
Thanks a lot for coming down over here, Colin. Appreciate that.
Thanks for the call, man. Great call. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a good day.